Looks like we're live and going. Don't think we have any viewers, but that's alright. That's why we record it. First of all, I'll start again by thanking my patrons. If you'd like to become a supporter, there's a link in the video doobly-doo, the description, or you can just see it right there. And my superheroes, they really help out. You superheroes and heroes, everybody's super supportive. It's awesome. Go into a little bit what we're going to try to do tonight. I decided to put together like a actual to-do list. So there's the information. If you need to contact me to join the Discord or get a link to the latest Mythruna test build, which there's going to be a new release this weekend, which I think will still be a limited release in the sense that you have to contact me to get it. I'm kind of on the fence about when to release it openly to the public, but I think I would feel better if I had the real terrain generation in instead of the current terrain generation. I think it'll give a better characterization of what the game will be like. And that's probably going to be, probably not going to be till Christmas time, but we'll see. If there's enough demand or interest, then maybe I'll change my mind on that. But I do kind of like the fact that most of the users who play Mythruna now are on the Discord or in touch with me directly, and so we can have conversations about it. If they find something cool or broken or whatever, then they can talk to me about it. And that's kind of nice to have those relationships. Okay, so tonight's to-do list, I'm going to mess with the clothing editor. Those of you who may not have seen this before, I'm trying to get it to the point where regular users that are not me can use it. Developer tools tend to be a little cryptic. Like, we know what we're supposed to do because we wrote it. Here's the clothing tool as it stands. It's actually a rigging tool. This is what I use to, like if we pull up the Fade model and she's got her clothes and everything already on, this is what I use to set up the animations and the collision shapes. Let's go ahead and turn off the armature. You can see she's got various collision shapes, and I can go down here and I can see how they're interacting with the terrain. And when I change her different, there's a little hitch in the step. I can see how the collision shapes are interacting and whether they're still covering her. She has a simplified collision shape, just kind of for mobility, and then some on her feet in case she kicks something, it will kick around and stuff. So that's what I use to make this, and you can see like we've got all these different colliders, and I can select them and see. In addition to that, there are attachments, and this one doesn't have the attachments, but that's where I set up where the backpack is, where the hands are, where hats are, things like that. This is super slow. Anyway, so that's what this tool was designed for. But then when I was developing the clothing system, I also kind of hacked that in here just to to prototype it out. And as it's set up, it will automatically save out whatever clothing you've built here and save out the PNG textures for the normal maps and things. But it just saves it as a regular file, and you got to kind of copy it off if you want to use it. It's not real user friendly. In addition, there's no undo and redo. That's what I'm talking about over here. I'd like to swap the left and right. I'd like to be able to add saving and loading of the clothing and undo and redo, because it can get a little weird, and it's quite common to do something and immediately decide that was not a good idea. For example, the reason I want to swap the left and right mouse buttons is because, so let's pick up a red plaid so I can really show what's going on. Right now, left click places and right click removes, and that's different than every other tool. Mythruna and Minecraft and all those seem to be right click to place, left click to remove, and so it's kind of backwards. And I ended up changing blocked to do the same thing. That's the block editor that looks similar to this that lets me create block shapes outside of the game. But and the way this works is you can like right now I have red plaid selected, and so, you know, I can layer on another layer of that cloth, or I can remove it again because it's keeping track of the layers of clothing, just like if you were making blocks, only these are layers of clothing. And in addition to just square swatches, you can actually pick, you know, different shapes, which I have here, and you can layer them in different ways, which is kind of cool. That's how I made this jewelry, just layering different. There's a couple metal textures and I think that's just red cloth maybe, and different shapes and stuff. And here's the other thing is each of these has excuse me, has a normal map, so you can increase the edge, but in addition to that, you can, even for the square textures, or even any of these, you can set which hard edges they have. So if we paint this now, it's got kind of a highlighted edge there, whereas if we paint the one next to it, you can see it's got the shadowed edge there, and that lets you build up you know, these kind of edges. That's how these guys got edges, is that bottom edge is, you know, I had that on when I enabled it, and that lets you decide where edges on the clothing are. And you can, even though these are all the same swatch, you can see it's got like an overlap here because it's got those creased edges, and that creates some kind of depth in the clothing, and it's especially effective for the metal textures like this. But as you can see, it's a little cryptic. Like, you can, if I reset the workspace now and then exit the tool, it's going to save over my Mythruna girl clothing here with her underwear. There's also some templating built in, like if you want to add a shirt to her or pants, I have some built-in templates so that it will kind of fill in the stuff for you, and you can select a particular kind of thing and then the fabric you want to replace it with. And it, you know, if we had a lot of time, it would be nice to be able to let you save your own, but that's actually possible to do through the file system. If we could save her clothing, you know, you could make a shirt, you could save it, and then you could copy it over into the template, and it would automatically pop into that. So that's what my intent is tonight, is to do that, get that working. Ooh, that's not good. My chat went away. There we go. I just wanted it a little closer to the edge. Okay. By the way, I did eventually figure out why you guys see the video so much later than I do, and that's in the stream settings. There's this latency. Normal latency sets it up so there's a longer delay, but you guys get better quality video. And considering I'm doing coding and fonts that are pretty small, I think that's probably for the best. Sometime when we're in kind of a medium situation, it might be nice to try out the low latency to see how much that improves the delay. But, you know, and how much sacrifice of quality it is. Anyway, so back to what we were doing. So yeah, the plan is to make this a little more usable and then release it tonight if I can, so that you guys have it and you can play with it. And that'd be public release, anybody could download. You know, release it with the Mythruna girl model, and then maybe you guys could play around with it and make her some Halloween costumes and post some pictures. The format's a little in flux. It's not like we would be able to use these directly in Mythruna. Even when I do support it, it probably would require some modification. Though, to be honest, I wouldn't want to have to recreate her outfit and stuff, so I'll try to keep it as compatible as possible. But that's the other thing, is in the real game, whole outfits would actually be made up of clothing instead of just a giant grid of swatches, which is what it is now. So anyway, that's what we're trying to do tonight, and I've now spent 10 minutes talking about it, so let's get started. So first things first, I want to go in the easy one, right? Swap in the left and right mouse, because that's going to get annoying. The sad part is that it will get annoying the other way too, because I'm so used to it. I do it wrong any given time. So this is easy. There's a inside here. This is the clothing state. That's what's enabled and disabled when we select that particular tab. You know, so when the tab changes, we select this and turn it on. When we click, there's some, when Yeah, so when the clothing is enabled, we add a just standard lemur cursor control cursor listener. We add that to the whatever model is loaded, and this is the listener down here. And so if we get a click, we check to see where it is on her and whether it fits within the texture field that we consider to be clothing, versus her head or her hands. And then we call, click cell, which is what we're going to deal with up here. And I mention all this is because that's immediately going to be relevant when we do undo and redo. So that goes into click cell, which I was at earlier, and then I moved. And then here we get the button index, and down here is where we actually decide what we want to do with that button index, and we're going to change this to right and this to left. I left this to do on the stream because it's kind of a good introduction to what's going on. When the right button is clicked now, we're going to add a swatch with the variant, which is sort of the shape, and then the fabric. And if we click the left button, we'll remove whatever's on that. So it's kind of like a stack of clothing. You get the skin at the bottom, and then whatever clothing gets layered on top, and so you can remove them back. Oops. So even that Mythruna girl that was wearing clothes we just saw, she had underwear on underneath that, and I don't think she has socks on underneath her boots, but she could. And then the middle mouse button sort of replaces whatever's there with whatever you've got selected. It's just like in Mythruna, in the blueprints editors. Okay, so that's done. And if we checked it, check it real quick just to be sure, in case I'm stupid. I was really stupid last week. Yeah, incidentally, the reason that the positional sound wasn't working was because, after I fixed the double node thing and got volume working and stuff like that, it turned out the reason positional sound wasn't working was because the volume was multiplied by 100. So the positional sound actually was working. It's just that we could never get far enough away from the sound to never hear it because it was 100 times louder than it was supposed to be. All right, so let's see. Right click should place. Well, we got to pick something other than skin. So right click should place, and the left click remove. Right. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm clicking the right button. Now I'm clicking the left button and remove it. And so we got that. Yeah, so here's what I was talking about. If we right click and wanted to place like maybe she's got a bandage on or something, right? And then later she takes the bandage off. It knows what's underneath. All right, so we got that done. That was easy. File saving and loading is going to be a little trickier. I think we'll want to put it over on that right side menu because this is specific to the clothing. And eventually I'll probably split these editors for my own benefit, but it's super convenient to have them together right now because she's got all the animation and stuff in the rigger tool. I can set her clothing up and then turn on the animation and see how it's stretching and stuff. All right, so we want to go find where I'm building the user interface and add some new buttons. So probably actions, add child, new action button, which is a lemur class. Call method action, which uses reflection because this was back in the Java 6, Java 7 days when you couldn't use the nice lambdas and things, or method references and stuff. This open, and we'll add another one. Save workspace, save, and probably we want save as. Save as, and then we're going to need methods for those. Yeah, put it here, kind of keep it all in order. Actually, you know what? We should thinking we should put these on a different state, but it'll work here. We may delegate to a separate state for the actual file management part, but we've got all the saving and loading stuff in this class already. And so, to open, we want to select a file. And so now we'll think about what we want that to look like. Well, I mean, first, if you want, we can just show what I did. So I can prove that it's working. Nice thing is that this tool starts really quickly. So we don't have to wait for the music and the menu selection. It just comes right up. Alrighty. Right, clothing. Yep. Reset workspace, open workspace, save as workspace. Create clothing. We probably want a... Let's change that to add clothing from template. So it's a little clearer, and maybe give it a separator. Because why not? I need to change the... And the whole point of this is to make it a little more reusable. So we'll just put a label in there for some spacing. It's just a cheat. Yep, see? That way if we had other template options, they're spaced out. Okay, open workspace. You can see in the log, it's open, 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 open. Save workspace, save, 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 save. Save as workspace, save as, save as, save as. Okay. And I always cheat. We don't have a real file dialog included in Mythruna right now, so I usually just cheat and use a directory to list, just whatever's in that directory that matches the file pattern, and don't worry about subdirectories and things. And I have and for the blockhead, we already have a lot of this set up. So I might just copy a lot of this stuff to save time. I'm trying to remember how I do it. Yeah, do I prompt in here? Yeah, I do prompt. In here, we want to remember when we have if the workspace is modified, before we try to open a new one, we want to probably prompt the user and see if that's really what they want to do. And save as. We'll want to do similar if they've if they're trying to save over a file that already exists. And we know what we really want is current file to keep track of. Oops. And so we can already do this. If current file equals null, then you haven't saved it at all, and you're going to have to do a save as. Just standard logic here. And so open, we want to pop open a dialog, and it's going to look... Should I separate it out into its own dialog? Or did I make it? Well, I mean, I can just look. Save as. Open. See you. Yeah, so this is, and then I select a file. So let's see what select file says. Oops. Stupid mouse wheel. All right. Yeah, so we do have a file load dialog. So maybe we can just steal that. Where do we create it? It's just a container. That's easy. Alrighty. Let's So thinking and designing at the same time. Oh yeah, we probably want to do these at some point. So let's make a simple file dialog. Oh yeah, this is in the open source package. Okay. I get so used to wiping out the open source license in the Mythruna code. And we're going to want all of the lemur stuff for sure. Extends container. And let's see, we got reference code here. It's funny because Swing has a file dialog too, so things we want. We want a title and then probably actions. No. Just 2 actions. All right. And so we will be good citizens, and when you make a new lemur component, one good thing you can do is go ahead and set up the element ID. In fact, when you make an extension of a container, or anything for that matter, it's a good idea. In fact, we'll just do a panel. Yeah, container's fine. It's a good idea to set up an element ID, which we'll have to do anyway when we call the super constructor, because we'll want to call the protected super constructor to be good component citizens, to work with styling correctly. If you see there's this protected method that we want to call as our super class, as our super, excuse me. Where do we go? There it is. So we get a little lesson in lemur stuff here. GUI layout. I think that the file or that the container is set up to use one if it doesn't get one. If layout is not equal to set layout. Okay. Otherwise, it'll use a spring grid layout, which is what we want, probably. Actually, what did we set a yeah, we just use a spring grid. Spring grid layout, though probably a border layout would have been more appropriate. So we'll let it use its default. Apply styles. False. We're going to apply the styles, and then new element ID. File dialog container. Just file dialog. Actually, it'd be good. We'll do this, and then we can say base ID child container. That way it picks up all the container styling, and then the other super thing is the style, which will be default style because we didn't specify one. Okay. And then when we do that, then if you look at like what container does or what label does, you know, they say normally you would have your own protected constructor to be subclassed, but in this case, you know, maybe I did want to go ahead and let them apply the styles. because we're not going to be managing any of that ourselves. We just want to make a container. Okay. If you were making a thing that you wanted other people to be able to subclass, you would do that. But this, we're going to let it apply the styles itself, because we just want to get into the business of adding our stuff. We don't care about keeping around the title, so we'll just do new label title, and that'll have the element ID of title label as a child of file dialog. So if anybody made a style file dialog, that title label, it would pick this up. Okay. Everybody's got their thing. Then the files is going to be a list box. Oops. Which we're going to want. I bet we'll want util. We always want util. We want base. I think that's good. So we want our list box files. And in fact, we wanted to let the user specify files. So this will be good. Okay, so they create give us the title, the files, and what their actions are going to be, and we know how to create the stuff that goes in it. So we'll set file list, we'll add child, new list box, file. Actually, probably string. Like I had it before, because we're not using a real file dialog. Yes, I'm rambling. File list set visible items 10. Yeah, I like that too. We would do that probably before. Yeah. Which we need JME math. And we set the visible items. And then we're going to add the buttons down at the bottom. And yep, now we're going to use spring grid layout, which means we want component as well. And then buttons add child, new action button, okay action, buttons add child, new action button, cancel action. So that's our dialog. It won't do anything, but it should be able to pop up. And so we can check that. First, we'll make a internal utility method to get list of files, get file list. And the root is going to be rigor config dot what's the get projector or get file clothing. I think there's already one, in fact. Yep, in my sample project there's already a clothing directory. Where did I go? Ah. Alright, and then List string results equals make array list. Got util already. If f is directory, we don't care. If not f get name ends with dot clothing. Oop. We also don't care else results add f dot get name. All right. Return results. So how many more minutes will this take me? Oops. All right, so file dialog. New file dialog. Open workspace. Get file list. And then we want new call method action open file. This actually we'll call it just open or load, and then locally this will be open file. We'll have an open file method which will do the actual opening. Info open file. But so we're gonna have a problem here, but and I think there's an empty action, but we want to I think we want to so let's pull up the where is it? There we go. We want empty action. Yeah, okay, so execute. I can never remember whether Lambda's fixed some of this stuff or not. File dialog dot remove from parent, so that we make sure to close the, because we're about to make it modal. So get GUI globals, get instance, get pop-up state, center, what is it called? GUI globals, pop-up state, centering GUI. File dialog, and then show modal pop-up. Okay, so we should have something working once I get past the inevitable compile errors. Yeah, see. All the things that, yes, an IDE would have caught for me, sure. Of course, I'd still be core. I'd still be typing. rigger config get instance. And then file dialog, we want to keep the label because we need to. Oops, I do that all the time. Spelled label wrong. Label is spelled wrong, in my opinion. Okay, file list, files list. File dialog, error filing, might not have been it, yeah. That is the issue, isn't it? Let's deal with that in a second. File list. Is it set visible item count? I thought I cut and pasted that from something that worked. I am working on the clothing editor. You missed the beginning, so hold on a second. I'm trying to add a file dialog. I'm trying to figure out why that's not liking that. File list. Error cannot find simple file list. Oh, yeah. It's right there. Why can't you find it? I'm doing something dumb. The problem is, like, I've got an audience, right? So, anyway, let's see what our latest stuff is. Okay, so it got past that. So it must have been something else. So yeah, now we're back to this problem, and I'll just remove this for a second, and we'll get the app locked up. So we can show you what I'm working on. For those who are joining late, I'm trying to make the clothing editor prototype a little more usable so that users can maybe play with that this weekend and make some Halloween costumes for Mythruna Girl. But in order to do that, I need to add like file saving and loading and stuff. So we go into the clothing editor and we can mess with our clothing. So if we open Workspace, it should say, "Yep, look at that. We don't have any files, so we can't load anything, and now we can't cancel because I was not able to hook up the cancel button." And we can't exit, so we'll go like this. What we need to do is just put this back out here. That'll equal null, so that's fine. It should be happy with that. And then whenever we want to use it, we just reference it. And this gets us around another problem too, because when we actually go to open the file, we'll need to get whatever was selected, and now we have something to grab onto. So for example, we can say private file, selected file, or string file, and then, no, we don't even need that. We can go like this, public. No, we do want that. Never mind. Oh, you know what? That's the problem. Is, hey, how's it going, guys? That's the problem with us letting them do the cancel. So I think we need to just action name. I think we need to do our own internal, because we're gonna have to keep track of what was selected and clear it if it's canceled, etc., etc., etc. I do work off one monitor. Yes. I actually have 3 monitors around me, but they're all connected to different computers. So I don't have a lot of room for a second monitor, and I have to sit. My eyesight is going. I have to sit pretty close to the screen anyway. So, so internally we will say void OK. Okay, and so instead of adding actions directly, we will add our own call method actions. And we give it the action name and this and okay. So that'll call that one. And the other one will call cancel. And it will just let it be called cancel. So actually we just have to do this. Actually, we'll go ahead and make, that's fine. It works. So this one will say selected file. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's nice to hear. Okay, so this dot selected file equals file list. I think get selected item works. List box. Get selected item. Yay! Selected item. And even when you hit OK, we'll want to remove from parent. And that's it. And in this case, when they cancel, we want to set it to null and still remove from parent. Okay, so we change how we create. I don't know what I did here. Didn't want to make modifications to this class. Okay, so when we create the file dialog now, instead of doing all this garbage, all we have to do. Oh, you know what? We're still going to need an action to be called when we're done, which we can do a little differently. We can just say. And so it'll be a runnable that we call when we're closed. And closed. Run. All right. And so we go back over here. We can just simplify all this. And then for here, we can just call open file. Is that going to work? Let's see if it likes that. Yay! I'm always glad when I get the lambdas right first time. I'm still a little new to that. Okay, so we've got female and Mythruna to say we had her up. I need to make this default to false because that's annoying. So we say open workspace. We can't actually select a file, but we can hit cancel, and oh, boom. So we got lots of problems. Error invoking method cancel because file dialog cancel has a null pointer exception file dialog 92. Ah, we never said it. Does it work? Yeah, always. Does it work? It'll work this time. It's bound to, right? So, it is possible I might actually be able to. Yeah, so if we load, cancel. Yep, it works. Open file was called. Okay. It's always something easy. Not always, but frequently. Okay, so all this is good. I'd prefer it if there was a different close and cancel action, but that's okay. We're already wasted enough time on this. Similarly, we can set up the save as. Like this one would be save workspace, and we'd say save, and then we say probably here we would do save current file, And then in save as, we want to say save file. It's this weird labyrinthine, you know, weird callback state stuff, because you actually want to be able to say, when you do a save as, you want to check to see if the file exists, and so on and so forth. And so we start to have stuff here. We don't have a do save yet. Let's do save. Save. We'll go ahead and continue the pattern with a do open. And you'll see why in a second. It's convenient. Okay, so file, if file dialog, did I create a method to get the selected file? I did not. Public string get selected file, return file list. Oh, that's just selected file. Okay, so here we do if get selected file null, we assume that the user never selected one or they canceled. If they did, then we already have, first we want to turn it into a real file, current file equals rigor config, stupid mouse wheel, one of these days, I swear. Get instance, get file, what did I call it, clothing slash oh, you know, save as does not actually use any of this. Yeah, do save current file, that's fine. Save as is going to pop open a GUI to just enter some text. So that's going to be a little different. Okay, anyway, so let's finish open because I can test that. In fact, real quick, let's copy, save one of these. I actually don't know if these are all compatible. Oh, we'll see. It'll either work or it won't. Okay. So current file equals blah blah blah. We actually get a real file, and then we say do save current file or do open. Oops. But we might already have an open method because when we launch, I automatically load some clothing. Yeah, right here. Just copy this. In fact, I'm going to get rid of this. I think that might make her naked, which I wonder if I do a default base clothing. Anyway, so we want to open file, and actually we want to put the setting of the in here. Okay, so we've got a file. If the file exists, we read it and set the current file. Okay, so now loading should work. Let's try loading. Oops, do save current file. Oh yeah, and let's look up test clothing to make sure we stop saving Let's stop auto-saving when we close. Yeah, we can still write test images. That's fine. All right. Oh my gosh, we're running really late on time. Required no arguments. Takes a file. Yeah, I forgot that. Save file. Oh, do save. That's what it is. That's the one I want. In fact, we can find how we saved it here and go ahead and implement that. Oops. While we're here. File. And if we did that, this current file equals file. Okay, got that going. We should be able to load even if we can't save. Uh-oh, Pepsi's gone. I was hoping to get to the undo redo stack because that's interesting stuff too, and that can, the development of that can go super fast. But maybe we will anyway. We'll see. Okay, so we want to, before I, oh yeah, see, she's naked. She's naked. Hope that doesn't get me. Oh, it doesn't. It didn't pick up the clothing. All right. We'll go ahead and continue to load the test clothing so that she doesn't show up naked. There's supposed to be a base. And the one that, so I'm able to import this tool into the Mythruna code base and customize it with stuff. And in that version, she always loads with underwear on, and then you can put whatever you want on. It's just safer that way. Anyway, why were we not finding looking for files in root? I think maybe I've got something wrong here. So we should be able to test this without a rig. So open workspace. It said looking for files in sample clothing, which I'm pretty sure I put a file in there. Yep, test pattern not clothing. Oh, again, something simple, right? I didn't actually give it the files when I created the list box. Can I do a regular when I have to wrap it? I do have to wrap it. So we will create a new version list around files. That should be it. Oops. One of these days I will create a standard file dialog. Actually, somebody has. They were going to contribute it. All right. So hey, look, we can take. Okay. You know what we want? We want to actually load a model first. It's going to vector her adventure clothing. Open workspace. Test pattern clothing. Load. Ooh. It didn't actually. Or it did, and it's just not showing. Let's put some stuff down. Nope. Or maybe the test pattern is invalid. Reset workspace. Yes. Okay, so she's naked again. She's naked. Let's try again. Let's test pattern clothing, see what it is. Yeah, so it's just not doing anything. It's always something. So that's all working. Open. We open the file. Get selected file. It's null. Let's test with, oops. Let's make sure it's really working. The do open is really working. We can say info loading file. Okay. And normally, I think we'd have to refresh something. What is going to make that repaint? What is force reset? See where else we call repaint. Maybe that'll clue us in. Yeah, we should do it. So when we open, if we are successful, we want to repaint everything. Repaint it all. See how many people are in the stream now? 2 concurrent views according to the YouTubes, which are often wrong. Okay. Open human female, load. Turn off the rig, clothing, open workspace, test pattern clothing. Let's see what that does. Yeah, it's working. That's the test pattern. She's got some blanks here. Yep. See her skin leaking through. Okay. So we've got loading working. Saving, I think, is simpler. We want to save. Save as. Save current file, no. Save box. Where do we... Alright. Save as. File entry, set text, that's what it is. File entry should be super straightforward though. Because I think we just pop open a file save dialog, that's what we're looking for. Yeah. Yeah, we'll cheat on this one. I'm running out of time. I would normally make another save dialog, and as you can see I hacked it in for this one too, so yeah, you know what, we'll steal all of this. It seems good. That was in the save as. But how do we ever exit out? Oh, I know why. I know. Because we've done it all in place. If we continue on, we'll see how we created that. Yeah, cancel save. Because we didn't do a separate dialog, we got to put all this crap in ourselves. Hackety hack hack. So, to go back and remember to clean this up later. I'll just put this up here. Do I already have a buttons? Nope. Okay, so we're good there. Save current file. Save current file, cancel save. Just call this save file. And so if they call save and there's no current file, we call save as. We call do save with the current file. If they say save as, we pop the thing open. They either call cancel or save, and at that point we still close it, ask them if they're sure. Okay, so we get the text, we convert that to a file. In this case, I should have been doing this all along, actually to file, string name, return what I did up here. If name ends with, or not ends with, dot clothing, name plus equal dot clothing. Okay, so we got a to file, which I should have used up here. In which case I could have done a whole different thing anyway. Alright. Okay, to file, we get the text, we convert it to a file. And we don't say save blocks, we say do save file. And if the file exists, we say overwrite, really overwrite existing file name. We say yes. Yeah, that's the annoying part of no save as. Yeah, that's good. We'll call a do save that doesn't have an argument. Cancel save. That'd be fine. Oh. Yeah. Call empty action. Why do we need to have... Alright. Maybe I should take a look at what cancel exit does. Just so many callbacks, it's annoying. Oh, okay. It has to do with the keeping track of whether we're allowed to exit or not. But I believe that the file dialog's already set up to, or the option panel is already set up to cancel on that. Okay, so do save file. Do save file will do its thing. Okay, so save as should pop up a thing saying we want to save it. Let's see if it works. I missed something. I'm sure I got trapped in the weeds. Anyway, last file not equal to null. That is 208. Yeah, so all this is garbage. Oh yeah, the to name to file bit. Oops. Ah, that's nice. And I know that from experience is it file base or IO? It's IO. Of course it is. Makes total sense. And so that's where we were. Oops. And to file, to name. Alright, let's see if we've made it a little further. Oops. Capital F. And we also saw that now we use the style stuff. We gotta pull in. This should get us a little further. Oh, and axis is ambiguous. Oh, empty action. Alright, will we work? Is it going to work? We're already 10 minutes over. Open. Node. So if we do clothing, and we should be able to say save workspace, it'll open the save as. So we save my file, that's fine. Save. Did it actually save something? We should see when we try to open it. Nope. It did. So if we open test pattern, we get that garbage. And if we open my file clothing, we get that. Okay, so save and load works now. Let's verify that if we tried to save as my file again, it's going to complain. Ooh! Okay, so there's a state problem, method not found for do save, blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, the empty do save I didn't do. But that's actually bad because it should not have been calling that. We didn't even prompt us for the yes over right or no. Oh, it's trying to locate the method. That's what it is. So just if they say yes, we do this weird indirection garbage. Let's try again. Technically, if I get this done in 2 minutes, it's only 10 minutes over. And I do want to go over some. I want to show you guys what I did last week, or what I've done over the last week. I'll be able to do the undo restack later. It'll only take me about 20 minutes, but probably too long for you guys. So if we save as workspace and we try to save it over again, it's going to say, no, you really want to do that? And I say, no, I don't, in fact. And then it'll take us back here, and I can change it the name, my file too. Okay, that's fine. And if I say save as workspace, save, and that one already exists, so cancel. That's fine. Or save as workspace. Yes, I want to save that. Yes, I really do want to overwrite. Okay, and then I could say save workspace all day long. Is it actually doing anything? Yeah, it must be. You know, I should have added a but anyway, we will worry about that in a second. Yeah, so saving and loading is working. We like it. Hey Mikey, he likes it. So if we reset the workspace, oh. Yes, in fact, really clear all the clothing. Make her naked. Then we load the clothing again. Now she's not naked anymore. Okay, so saving and loading is working. That is like the minimum thing. If you guys were to use it, you would be really frustrated if you couldn't at least save and load, because that'll mitigate undo redo if you could just save a lot, right? I might hook up Control S and stuff to these before I release. I don't know. Undo redo is really straightforward. Essentially what I do is I create like a list of commands and have undo and redo and then move forward and backwards in the stack. But now for what you've all been waiting for, or probably not because you didn't know I was going to do it, let's go over So last week we were doing positional sound. I did actually get that working over the week, and I started working on the random sound system, which would, as you're sitting there, bird tweets and owl hoots and things. Okay, thanks, Ron. Oops. So I've got, as it turns out, so I wanted to do the random sound placement on the server. In old Mythruna, it was done on the client, which meant each of us who was playing on a multiplayer server. You know what? I'm going to turn the music off because I'm talking. Come on. Okay, sound. Let's turn the music down. Okay, that's fine. So in old Mythruna, it was all done on the client. It would randomly place sounds in the trees and bushes around you, and you'd hear them, but everyone got like a slightly different view. In this case, I wanted to do it on the server. Since we created all that infrastructure for creating sounds and on the server and having them pop up on the client and stuff like that, I wanted to create the random sounds on the server. So I did that, but when I was designing it, I'm like, you know what, this is very much like any kind of random encounter, and so I turned it into the design for random encounters. So even though I didn't get time to implement that, I can do more than just bird tweets now. I could actually place birds if I had birds to place, and have them fly away when you get too close to things. Not necessarily things you would interact with directly, but I could randomly place a whole bunch of stuff around the players and have it only be active while the players are nearby. Yes, we hear this sound. Let's make it light out here. Oh. Let's make it a little lighter. So you can see that, hear that sound coming over from here. See as we turn. And I changed the sound to be something that I could tell when it started and ended. Okay, so now another one appears somewhere, and we should be able to hunt it down based on its sound. I can get up over this lip. Somewhere over there. There it is, behind the tree. I'm trying to stay in this zone so that I don't monkey with the probabilities right now. Where's the next one? Oh, he's over there. Nearby where it started before. But how it works is that when a player is loaded, it starts the encounter system for each of the blocks, these big gridded areas around the player in any direction. And if two of us were on the server at the same time, and one player was there, it does the 3 blocks around them, and if I'm here, it does the 3 blocks around me, and if they overlap, we still would hear the same encounters. And so it kind of keeps track of where active players are, and this is going to be super useful for activating and deactivating the high detail artificial intelligence versus low detail artificial intelligence and all kinds of stuff. And I could be spawning, random birds in the trees and things that know where we are. So it's kind of cool. Yep, there's another one. So yeah, random sounds are working. And this will be in the release that I released this weekend. I was trying to release today, but so we should get a new sound here in a second. Yep, there it is. And so I need to, finish configuring these so that they're actually the birds and stuff and not my little music trill. There's a couple bugs I have to fix. I need to stub out some things that aren't working correctly. That's the other exciting thing is like I've got some things almost working that are just not quite ready, and so those will definitely be in the next release. Things like the trees. So we got a random sound there, just pops up. So when I had my this is actually if I turn it into a physical object and it'll fall over. Timber! Uh-oh, it got... Yeah, there it goes. It's not the real weight, so there's some things I have to figure out. Like, first of all, I have to make it its real weight so it's not heavy on the branches there. Come on. make illusion. So it should go right back to where it was, but I think it just disappeared. So there's still some bugs to work out with that, so I'm just going to disable it for now. But it's super close, and so I'm really excited about having that. And the next time I'm going to work on, you know, when you're having the axe equipped, being able to actually swing the axe. I think that's my next thing. You know, so you're going to hold it, but you can't actually swing it around and stuff. That'll be the next thing. But today, tomorrow, finishing the random encounters. You know, it's just solidifying some things, getting the bugs fixes, and then getting a release out. For the rest of tonight, I think I'm going to try to get that clothing editor out and released. Stay tuned on Twitter and Discord and so on to see that. And that way you guys can play with, you know, what the clothing editor might be like. Now, when we were playing with it, you know, it's all done like in one thing, but eventually there'll be different items of clothing, but the editing will still be very similar. So in game, the way it will work is that instead of having a whole person up, you might be editing a shirt or something, and so you would have some kind of clothing dummy up that just has the, you know, marked out for maybe a shirt or a long shirt or something, and so you'd have the template there that you could then go and, you know, add the swatches to where you want, or, you know, if you decide you want weird buckles, where's the metal? So if you decide you want weird buckles somewhere, you could put those on. You know, maybe she's got buckles all over the place, you know, or the bottom half of the buckle, you could go and connect them up. You know, so you could edit the shirt and then, you know, save it, and that becomes a blueprint, just like the object blueprints. Now you'd have clothing blueprints, and that'll be how I make all the clothing for all the NPCs and things as well. But anyway, that's done. So we did this, done. We did that, done. I'll finish this tonight and then package it up. That's the other thing, you know, package the build so you guys can play with it. Hopefully you guys actually make some stuff and post some screenshots, get some experience how to make clothing, just like you guys have experience on how to make blueprints. Anyway, thanks for joining the live stream. I hope you guys have a good week and do something productive. If you're in the US and celebrate Halloween, I hope you have some fun with that and see lots of cool trick-or-treaters. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks for joining, and thanks for watching all the way to this part of the end. Almost 20 minutes late. Alright guys, see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.